Welcome to the Money Script Podcast. It's your host, Yohance Harrison. So happy to be with each and every one of you today. I want to say thank you up front to everyone who left a comment and left a amazing, heartfelt, warming, loving, just thank you. I mean, I was reading, I hadn't logged into Apple Podcasts in a while, and I saw all the reviews that were there, and thank you. I mean, you guys are really loving this show. So we're going to keep bringing it to you. I told you at the top of the summer that I had a jam-packed summer full of some of my favorite people on the planet. And for those of you that are watching on YouTube, you already see who it is. But for those of you who are listening, you're going to have to wait a little bit longer to figure out who it is. So, of course, I am a financial planner, financial advisor, behavioral financial advisor. I focus on helping people make better decisions with their money. The purpose of this podcast is to bring you a little bit of financial literacy and also introduce you to some stories, to some people that you may not have heard from yet. Today, I am joined by one of my favorite people on the planet and soon to be second favorite person on the planet, because I'm sure I'm going to fall in love with his wife even more than I love him. But I would like to welcome FlyTy and Jacinda to the Money Script Podcast. Welcome.
What's up?
What's up? What's up?
Thank you,
Man.
Thank you for having us. We're honored to be a part of this amazing podcast.
Man, thank you so much. So before, I know you probably wondering what the current event is. We're going to get into that. Before we get into that, I have to tell you this quick story. I'm going to get into their background, but I have to tell you about our background. So this man, FlyTy, if it were not for him,
Come on,
I would not be here right now.
Come on.
Okay? It was he and another gentleman by the name of Mr. Incognito that gave me and my friends, when we were teenagers, the opportunity to sneak into the radio station and get a little airtime, to watch how it's all done, to see the background, see how, you know, the production studio or the production schedule was put together, letting us answer the phone when guests were calling in. We probably shouldn't have been there, and they probably both could have been fired for letting us there, but they let us do it. And it was amazing. It's what gave me the courage and the energy to want to be able to continue to do this thing called public communication. So FlyTy, thank you from the bottom of my heart for taking that risk on us youngins.
Man, listen, we're so honored that we was able to give you that opportunity, right? And here's the crazy thing. After 28 years in radio, me and Mr. Incognito still doing it. The same thing. Mr. Incognito is the boss now.
Yeah.
Over everybody.
He's our boss.
Boss man. Oh, boss man. Okay, Mr. Hey, that's what you call putting in your time, earning your stripes.
From radio. I remember I started in 95. He started in 96 and retired from radio, and he went into programming, and now he runs 2 stations here in Charlotte, Power 98 and V101.9 are Urbans here. The number one station in Charlotte. Yep. So crazy.
I remember that building in Concord and climbing up the windy staircase. Oh my goodness. Those are memories. Those are precious memories. Yeah. Incognito. I mean, he was like the overnight shift. So he started in the mailroom. He is the definition of starting in the mailroom. So shout out to Mr. Incognito.
You know, there's a song to say started from the bottom, now we're here.
Hey, we did it. We all did it. We all did it. We do. So I'm gonna tell you a little bit about their background. We're gonna get into their story. I want to hit you with the current event because it just came across my phone this morning, and there was a article in the Wall Street Journal that was showing how car buying is becoming a little unattainable for a lot of individuals. And the amount of people who are delinquent or behind on their car note, even for those that have good credit, is getting to some of the highest levels we've seen since the last recession. And I know I said the R word, and you probably wonder, well, are we in a recession? Does that mean we're going to the recession? I don't know. Okay. We don't know if we're in a recession officially until some person on an iron throne tells us. But that doesn't mean that your personal economy, that your household isn't experiencing recessionary trends. Maybe someone in your household has lost a job. Maybe their hours got cut. You've seen the price of food, the price of gas go up. You've seen the price of energy go up. So there's a lot of people that are starting to feel like you are in a recession. And you know what? That's all that matters. If your personal economy is feeling a recession, then you've got to make some moves to improve your situation. Later to what the U.S. economy dictates if it's a recession or not. If you're currently experiencing those things, and you've got to think about how can you make some changes, where can you make some cuts, how can you create some additional sources of income so that you can continue to keep up with everything, with the cost of living, keeping up with your goals, etc. Because also things to know about a recession is that they come and they go. Okay, we have one about twice every 10 years, and usually one of them is pretty bad. We just had one back in 2020. Okay, wasn't that bad. It was lightning quick, couple of months, and we were kind of back to normal. So if we have one again, don't be surprised. It's just part of what we go through. Oh, and really quick, as far as current events, I did see a new word while I was scrolling through that article. It was a hurricane. So apparently a hurricane. Apparently, all of our friends in California experienced a hurricane and an earthquake at the same time this past weekend. When you're hearing this, it's probably a few weeks ago. They probably already moved on to some other headline. But shout out to all my folks in California. I hope that you are still and starting to dry out a bit. But guess what? You guys have been praying for the rain, so you get what you asked for. So there's the rain. So enjoy it. So let's get to our guests today, because they also mentioned that they've got some conversations going on in their household about new vehicles. So quick history on Derek FlyTy Jacobs. He's a national radio and television event host. As he mentioned, veteran in Charlotte radio. If you're in the city of Charlotte, you know this man's voice. Absolutely you do, especially if you attend some of the Charlotte Hornets games, which is my home team. Shout out to the Charlotte Hornets. I don't care where I live. I don't care anything about the Lakers. I don't care anything about the Clippers. I don't care anything about the Mavericks unless they're playing the Hornets.
There you
and
go.
then I'll go see them. That's all it is. That's all it is. Yeah. So again, I'm a hometown. I remember going to Hornets games. I remember Muggsy Bogues and Larry Johnson and the whole clan. So yes, I'm all about the Hornets. Jordan, thank you for bringing the Hornets back to Charlotte. Don't let anyone tell you anything any different. Thank you. Okay, that was one of the saddest days when the Hornets went to New Orleans. Like, who authorized this? Whose man's is this? Get him.
Yeah.
And then, of course, his beautiful wife, Jacinda. Jacinda, you've been in my household, a household staple for years. My wife would listen to, I guess, your podcast, radio show, a syndicated radio show. Is that what it is? I don't.
Radio show.
So unless was it with me and you together?
No, it was Brother Fred.
So Brother Fred's AM Mayhem. So that was a morning show that I worked on here in Charlotte. 96.1 The Beat. It was a pop station.
So just like I did hip hop radio, she did radio as well. When I went to Dallas, Texas to work in radio, she came over and took over the Charlotte airwaves on one of the hip hop stations. What y'all play? Pop, hip hop,
a little bit of everything. A little bit of everything.
They play hip hop. That's what it was. It was hip hop.
Exactly. So yeah. Brother Fred's AM Mayhem.
So did the two of you meet in radio?
Nope.
We met working for the Charlotte Hornets.
Yeah.
Okay.
There, from hosting and doing the Charlotte Hornets, we now have our own radio show together, the FlyTy and Jacinda show, which is every Sunday from 6 a.m. to 12. We do a gospel morning show.
So now we host a lot of events in Charlotte as co-hosts. We do a television show. We did a reality show on Oprah's own network. And like Jacinda said, we have a Sunday morning gospel show. We also run a nonprofit with an outreach arm. So we do a lot. We are co-hosts for life.
Yes.
I love it. I just told Alicia the other day, because we actually went through some changes here at the company. I'd hired another advisor to help, build the brand and work with clients. And after a few months, decided that it just wasn't working out. And so he went back to being an analyst. And right now, Alicia is studying to get her CFP, or Certified Financial Planner designation. That's the highest designation you get in financial services. And I said to her the other day, I said, you know what, babe, there's no justice. It's just us. I was like, we don't need to seek the justice from other people to bring them in. It's just us. Yeah. This is us. We got this.
Yep.
We got this. So we are huge fans of couples that are in businesses together and create together and support one another and support their communities, because it's not just about what we can do for ourselves, it's what we can give back to our community, which is the whole purpose of the show. Free game, get you some, sign up. So I want to talk a little bit more about the current event, which was the car prices, because, well, just the car market in general, because prices are also a part of it. There was an article a couple of weeks ago saying that the electric cars, their prices are actually starting to come down, which is good, making it again more affordable for everyone. The federal government did offer some renewed incentives, tax incentives. They did put some caps on the income, though. I've had a couple of clients say, "Wait, I don't get to participate." I'm like, "Well, come on, you
make a lot of money.
You make a lot of money." I know we all want to get some free lunch too, but come on. So, but the other thing that is happening is we went through this phase in 2020 through 2022, where for the first time in my natural life, we saw used car prices go up, where cars were no longer depreciating, and said they were appreciating. One of the strangest phenomenons of that time is that if you leased the car in 2019, if your lease was up 2 years later in 2021, you went to hand in the keys, they were eager to get those keys back from you, because they could go and resell the car for more than the value that you could have purchased the car for in your lease contract. So for those of you that still got leases in 2021 and early 2022, before you turn those keys in, make sure you check the residual value, which is the value you can purchase the car for. Make sure you compare that value with the same selling value of the same car, same make, model, specs, mileage, etc., because you may still have a little bit of a discount in there. But we're starting to see that start to come down. And of course, car companies and banks aren't stupid. Well, it's the banks. They're not dumb. So they kind of figured that out, and they're like, oh, we got to fix this real quick. Let me give ourselves a little bit more leeway in here. But the other thing that is putting a lot of pressure on the car market is interest rates. Okay.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, gone are the days of the 0%, 1%, 1.9%, new car buying. There's still a few incentives out there, but they're fewer and further in between. So these days, people are having to pay a higher interest rates for vehicles. I had a client just the other day, perfect credit, so above 760 credit score, went to go buy a car, used vehicle, and the interest rate they were offered was 5.5%, and they were appalled. They're like, "Oh, what happened to one?" I'm like, well, that 2020 happened to one. I mean, that's just what it is. That's just where we are right now. So tell me, Jacinda, FlyTy, what's going on with your car buying? What are you guys thinking about?
Don't look at me. This is your this is your fight.
I'm getting ready to run this thing down.
This is your fight.
I'm getting ready to run this thing down. There's a debate.
There's a debate.
Home. Yes. I'm getting ready to break it down. Now, when we tell stories, there's two different lenses. You see it one way, I see it the other. Okay, so you might get a whole different story, same scenario. All right, we're in the market to buy a car right now. Now, when you dive a little bit deeper in our story, we believe in being debt-free so we can free up our finances and invest them in different places, right? So, my mother had an issue with her car. We ended up selling it and giving her one of our cars, okay?
And the reason why we did that, we have 2 electric vehicles. And so with the EV world, we just believe in having one gas car, like just
in case, in case,
right? Like we're in the trend. So
in case there's a power outage or something. Yeah. Okay.
Right. We have this one gas car. It's an older car, but Mama Jones needed the car. So here we go. So now we are out of of a gas car.
So we gifted her with the car. The debate starts with she said, we wants a gas car. I would love to have a gas car, but I'm a huge fan of electric cars. We both drive Teslas. They both are paid off, and we've had 0 maintenance problem. 0. I think we took it in for a battery one time, a 12 volt. I had to pay $113. Okay. Yeah. Her doorknob went out one time. That was it. So I love not spending money on maintenance of a car. When you have a gas vehicle, you don't know what you're getting if you're buying the
oil change, air filter change, transmission flush, fuel injection.
Plus buying gas every week. You know what I mean?
I really want to lean toward buying a third vehicle, an electric car. Okay. There's a certain type of car that I'm looking at, and she's like, I don't think so. Okay. But we both do love a gas car. I'll tell you what kind it is. It's a Jeep Wrangler. We love those cars.
Okay.
Like the look, the style.
Very nostalgic. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. They have there's an individual ruggedness to them, if you will.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we both, like, we agreed on the type of car if we got a gas car we want. Okay. The thing about the Jeep Wrangler, they hold their value, to your point earlier, right? So you can get one that's a 2010 and it's still $20,000, right? So we said, does it make sense to inherit someone else's car that's a little bit lower, but you might be inheriting their problems as well? Because what if the engine go out? I had a friend who bought one. 20 days later, his engine blew. He had to get a whole nother engine. When you buy,
I know that. I did that one of my old cars. I went to my mechanic. I was like, hey, make this light turn off long enough for me to get it down the street and trade it in.
Come on. And when you buy an electric vehicle, you don't have to worry about the engine blowing up, because guess what? There is no engine. So do we go with gas route or do we go electric route? So she said, we're not buying a car. I'm at about 15,000. What? What kind of car you want? What that you could push down the street?
She wants a 1998
like Volkswagen.
And I'm like, we're not finding a car for that. And my budget,
his budget is like 35. Yeah. And those are two completely different budgets.
Around 25, 30, So I'm willing, because one thing, here's my point. One thing that I do know about vehicles is if you're using it for work, then it's an asset. If you're using it for leisure, it's a liability. What I wanted to do, we're going to use it for leisure, because both of our cars we use for work. So here's a third extra vehicle that now becomes a liability. And this $20,000, $30,000 investment, $15,000 investment becomes a liability unless, here's my plan. Girl, we buy this electric car, we put it on Turo, now it becomes an asset. We drive it when we want to, and we're making money from it. Come on, give it to me.
Okay. I can see how I see. So again, going back to my core beliefs as a financial advisor, it's values, goals, and financial behaviors. I heard a lot in there about your values, what's important to you in a vehicle, what you want to, the purpose of that vehicle, and the maintenance costs, etc. I also heard in there your goals of what you want to use the vehicle for. Okay. Now becomes the financial behaviors that follow it. Okay. Because everything that we do, there's an opportunity cost. What are we willing to give up in order to get what we want? Every time we say yes to something, we're saying no to everything else. Okay. Yeah. So there's always a YOLO. Not YOLO. FOMO, always FOMO. You're always missing out on something. You're always missing out on something because you choose to.
What's FOMO?
FOMO is fear of missing out.
Oh, didn't know. I learned something today. I learned something.
Well, that's good that you don't experience that too often. That's good. That's a good thing. That's a good trait. Okay, to not know what FOMO is, that's good. But a lot of people experience this FOMO, like, oh, I'm going to miss out. I'm not going to get this. I'm not going to get that. Well, you're always missing something. Okay, because you said yes to something, you say no to everything else. So it becomes this conversation of what I'm hearing is it about the money? Or is it about the utility? Okay. And that's where I think the two of you are going to have some conversations, because here's the thing. Let's be honest. The two of you are ambitious business owners with hands in multiple pots that can create whatever you want. You can replenish any money that you spend.
Yeah,
you can. However, if you use the money now, that's money that can't be used somewhere else for something else. Yeah, so you have to go through this kind of hierarchy of like, okay, well, what is important right now? But I do like the practical conversation that the two of you are having. So I'd like to offer you a few tips. And you know what? I haven't done this on the show before, where I get to kind of have a almost a financial literacy conversation, a financial planning conversation with my guests. So let's talk about it. So there's a couple of rules that I like to use when purchasing a used car. Okay. The first rule is try to buy a car that's only had one previous owner. Okay. So that's number one. Number two is try to buy a car that does not have more than the average miles on it per year. Okay. So even if you're buying a car that's 10 years old, the average miles are based on location. So you have to look and see where that car is from, because if the car originated in Los Angeles, average miles are going to be higher than the car originated in, I don't know, Albany, New York. Okay. The person in Albany probably wasn't going outside of Albany, or maybe they transferred over to Canada a couple of times, but you get what I mean. You're going to find a different average. So somewhere between 10 to 15,000 miles per year on the vehicle. Of course, you want a vehicle that has a clean Carfax. So meaning there's nothing other than general maintenance on there, no accidents, none of that crazy stuff. Okay. So if you can stick to those parameters first when looking for a vehicle, it's going to reduce the amount of vehicles that show up on your list when you're at cars.com or what have you, because you can put those parameters in, clean Carfax, one owner. And then just if you say you're looking all the way back to a 10-year-old vehicle, 10 times 10, so 100,000 at most, or at least 150,000 at the cap, and maybe even bring the 150 down a little bit and take the 100 down a little bit, so you can get a tighter range there. Okay. And if you use those parameters, the thing that you're going to have to do is realize that your car may not be within 50 miles of your house. The car you're looking for might be in Tucson, Arizona. Okay. And if you find what you want that fit those parameters, you're less likely to have problems with that vehicle. So it's worth the $800 to get it shipped to wherever it is that you are now.
I agree.
Okay. And of course, if you find it on CarMax, they'll ship it for you. They're like, oh, well, it's just this is inside a CarMax network. You just have to wait. So I've found that when you can set those tight parameters on the used vehicle, of course, put your make and model and all of the good stuff in there. But if you can set those parameters, that you have a higher likelihood of finding a high quality vehicle. Now, I will agree with you 100%. If you can pay cash for the car, pay cash for the car. But if we're talking about 15,000 versus 35,000, we might be talking about some time. You have to wait a little bit longer to save up a little bit more money to get that car. But if you can buy cash for it, then that means you're not paying interest, which is great, because there's two things you can do with interest. You can pay it or receive it. I'd rather be on the receiving end all day long. Okay. So if you can avoid paying interest on the car, that means you just have to delay your gratification a little bit longer. Hey, let's get paid to wait. Put that money somewhere where it's earning some interest and just get paid while you wait, so you can get what you want.
Well, it looks like I lost that argument, because her thing is we are not buying another vehicle until we have another investment that can pay for the vehicle. So
but now you brought Turo up though.
So I will say the one thing that him and I do that I love so much, and I would highly recommend this for any couple, is we have business meetings every single week. Every Monday morning, we set aside time to talk. And I think this really helps our marriage, because women, we'll work on things all day long, and you come home from work and we just want to be like, I did this, we need to do this, we need to do this. And you guys are exhausted and you don't want to hear from it. But I've been waiting for you to come home all day to tell you everything that we need to be working on. And so for him, I'm, also he's not at liberty to have certain conversations. And I found myself messing things up, because I'm like, well, you said you wanted this kind of hotel. And he's like, well, I didn't know at the time this is what you meant. So our business meetings have really helped with us getting on the same page. And I would say this has been an ongoing conversation for the last month or so, but with us touching on it every single Monday, we've finally come to a place that I think we agree on. For me, I only really like spending a large sum of money on something that I'm going to make money off of. I'm really big on that. It hurts me to my soul to just put money out and like not see anything from it. So for example, he's a barber, I would invest all day long in clippers and things like that, because I know with one set of clippers, he can make money for years and years and years to come off of it. So for us to spend money on a vehicle that we don't need, like we don't necessarily need it. I'm trying to break it down to FlyTy. I'm like, yes, we have EV, and yes, we would like a gas, but with the way the market is, I don't want to go in and spend $15,000 on a car that I know is worth $5, because that's really what's happening right now. And so when we talked it out, and I see his email blowing up with all these Jeep Wranglers and all these Teslas and all this stuff is happening every week, we circle back. And finally, this week we were walking, and we actually do these in prayer walks. We go and take a walk, and we're praying and we're talking it out. And when he finally said, I think we should, I did research on Toro in this area. Teslas are the #1 car. We can look at making a couple $1,000s, maybe one at minimum, 2 to 3 at max per month with us putting it on Toro, making money when we're not using it. But at least we do have a third vehicle if something were to happen. And I said, now we're talking. Now we're talking. I can see us now stepping it up to more about $35,000, $40,000, investing in a good vehicle. And then what would that payoff be? Possibly in about, either we put cash down for it completely, or we put 20 down and only, finance a small portion of it, but then pay that off within a year. And now we're talking about being able to make money for however long we want off of a third vehicle.
So in conclusion of this conversation, and then we'll move on, that is one thing that has been so healthy for our marriage, our relationship, and just as friends, because I often say I married my best friend. We have those conversations, and that's an important part of the foundation of what we do and who we are. We have to be on the same page. So for any couples listening, any families that are listening, I highly encourage to have business meetings, sit down, talk with your partner about what does any major purchase in our household look like, and how is it going to benefit, or how may it take away from our household and hurt us. So it is vitally important for us to have those conversations, to have those business meetings, because I will not make a major purchase without her checking off on it or approval, and vice versa. And that is an agreement that we have.
I would say without me agreeing, because there was a time that he wanted something so badly. Oh, he wanted it so bad. And I've said no in so many different ways. And ladies, sometimes we're like, I said no, and then I realized he's a grown man and he works hard. And I finally said, if you want to buy it, FlyTy, go for it. Am I in agreement? No. I am not in support of this. But if that's something you want to do, and he spent a day, he was all upset. He finally came back and he said, if you're not in support, I'm not going to do it. I can't do it unless you support me. And so, you can do it. I just don't stand next to you in it.
So here's my quote. Here's my quote. A man prays for wisdom and God gives him a wife. So sometimes we have to learn to listen.
Yes.
I'm grateful.
Amen. So to all of our listeners out there and viewers, for folks on YouTube, if you've been following the show for a while, you probably had the same reaction I had to their business meeting. Oh, they're having money dates. Yes, that's what they're describing. It's the money date.
Yep.
Okay. They just have it under a different name. They call it a business meeting because they're business owners, but money date, business meeting. The point is, as a couple, when you're together, you have to come together to have these financial conversations. You cannot live in this life where the right hand doesn't know what the left hand is doing.
1000%.
They have to come together so that you can have some agreement. And again, you're not always going to agree, but at least each other get a chance to hear what's going on, and things aren't being you're not operating financially in the dark. And also know that that goes beyond just buying decisions. You get to have these conversations about your future, about your job and promotions that you want to go for, or different side hustles that you may want to start, etc. It goes way beyond just how much are we spending on groceries this week. But you know what? Sometimes that's where it starts.
Yeah,
it starts with, I meet lots of couples where I may ask one or the other, so tell me about the household expenses. Oh, I don't know. She handles all that. I'm like, you don't know how much you spend in groceries, brother? I need you to know how much the groceries cost, because what happens when she's down or she's out, and you need to you need to go out and buy the grocery. You need to know how much it costs. You gotta have a general idea of what these things are. I don't think you have to know exactly which brand of grapes you're supposed to buy, but know what these numbers are, because they're important. So I want to transition, since we were talking about your relationship and your family and how you operate financially. I wanted to kind of go back in time and ask one of our favorite questions that we ask to all of our guests on the show. And Jacinda, I'd like for you to go first. What we want to know is, what is your first memory of money?
Money for me, I had to do a lot of digging in this. I realized that money plays a huge part in our life, and money for me was always scarcity. So I'm the type to hold money. I'm the type to, my brothers have a funny story that they tell, and they told Ty when we got married. They said, Jacinda will always act like she has no money. She will always act like she's broke, and she's sitting on everything. Trust me, she got money. And when they told him, he said, that makes so much sense.
That means, Ty, you heard it. That means she got the other 20 G's you need for the car. She just hasn't revealed it yet.
And you know what I had to do? At first, I thought it wasn't a big deal. I had to dig in deep. I had to go and do some inner work to say, why am I so tight? Why am I so scared to spend? I may be speaking to a woman here, because I am a weird woman who does not like to shop. I hate shopping. I hate spending money. I hate, and here's why. It's not just to say that. It's because there's a fear there. Going and doing the inner work, I realized that every time I would spend money, it would then put me in the negative, and I would have to work double and triple as hard to get back to where I was. So I equate spending money to, now you're going to struggle and suffer. I could only just pay my bills. I only made enough just to pay bills, just to get by. So if I wanted to go on that vacation, if I wanted to do that, I already knew that I was going to suffer after that. That is a fear that I still have to this day, which is why I guess we work well, because my husband's the spender, I'm the saver. So I'm able to live a little through FlyTy, and he's like, come on, we got it. Like, let's go. But then I get to wheel us back a little bit more to say, hold on. Like, we're going below the threshold, that, we're going below the boundary. But that would be my first real memory is there's a fear that I have of spending it and losing it and then suffering because you don't have it, because you made that choice. And and to this day, I still am trying to work through that fear.
Wow.
Beautiful.
Wow.
So FlyTy, how about you? What's your first memory of money?
I love that she talked about scarcity and fear, because we're still unpacking that and what that looks like in our lives and in our relationships. Men, if you got a woman who don't love shopping, you got a good one. I got a good one. She was like, I don't like shopping. I was like, yes. This is so good. That way I know I'm not going to be in debt, right? My first relationship with money, she talked about, I love that you use the word scarcity and how you relate to that. I'm going to use the word freedom because I saw my mother struggle. My first memory of this is a throwback, so I'm about to age myself. I had a paper route, right? I was getting paid $15 every 2 weeks to throw papers on the porch. Doesn't seem like a lot, but as a 12, 13-year-old kid, it was a lot to me. And I saw my mom struggle. My mom was a single parent, didn't have a father in the home. I saw her struggle. And I'm like, she worked 2 and 3 jobs to provide for 4 kids. I said, I don't want to go through that when I'm older. I want to have the freedom to have money and to be able to have nice things and not work as hard. So my first relationship with money was as an entrepreneur. I began cutting hair in the basement of my mom's home. And I'm like, wow, I'm helping my mom out with her bills. I'm buying my own school clothes. And I'm going to school with a pocket full of money every day. Because as a young man, I became an entrepreneur. So that represented freedom for me.
So tell me, with this scarcity and freedom, and I love the polar opposition here.
Yep.
How are your money scripts influencing the conversations that you have with your children about money?
This is good.
We are both leaning to our strengths when it comes to money. I think that's really what we decided to do. And I'll say FlyTy has helped me tremendously. It's still a work in progress, but he's helped me tremendously because he made me read Total Money Makeover.
Okay.
By Dave Ramsey. And when we first got married and we wanted to talk about money, he said, I will not talk to you till you read this book. The next day,
I love that.
The next day I came in talking to him about money. He said, did you read the book? I said, no. He said, I will not talk to you until you read the book. I got the audio and I had to drive out of town for work. And by the time I came back, I had finished the book and I came in and I said, let's sit down. And he taught me then how to pay off my car, pay off my credit cards. And one by one, we started snowballing and we got out of debt. So he helped me with my level of fear because I was always like, we would, what if we spend this money? Then we can't pay this. Well, now we have nothing to pay. So I'm now operating in a space that I feel very, very comfortable in, but there's still a level of fear that I have to work on. So we operate in our strengths when we talk to our kids. So our youngest is 17. He just got his first job as a lifeguard. And so we have had the conversations with him recently, almost every single day. What are you doing with that paycheck? He just got a raise. What are you doing with that paycheck? We have given him a bill. He has to pay his car insurance every month, but we're talking to him about what goes aside for saving, what goes aside for tithing, what goes aside for spending money, because you deserve to enjoy some of this. So we are starting to show him the different parameters that we set in our lives, and we're talking about it every single day.
That's right. I have to totally agree with Jacinda because, my understanding of money, again, represented freedom. And this book changed my life. I'll say it again in case you guys are listening and want to write it down. It changed my entire life. Total Money Makeover by Dave Ramsey. A lot of people don't subscribe to his philosophy, but I know it represented freedom for me.
Yeah.
And that I wouldn't have to become a slave to corporate America. And I wanted her, how you experience something good,
it's
like
so
if
good.
You eat something, you're like, taste this.
Taste it. Yeah.
I wanted her to taste that feeling of freedom. Like I can go buy what I want to if I have the money for it. And I don't want to feel scared that I got to hold on to this. And when we did talk about it, it changed her life as well. And she was like, I'm upset because I should have knew this information at an earlier age.
Because our parents didn't know.
Our parents didn't
know.
know.
It's not our fault. It's not our fault. Our parents didn't know. The schools don't teach us.
Generational.
And our parents' parents didn't know. It is not our fault. Yeah. However, once you become aware, it is your fault.
Yep.
And that's why I want to say thank you to you for teaching financial literacy on this podcast and with what you do.
Yeah.
It's changing lives. It's breaking generational curses.
Yes.
And I believe that what you teach, relationship with money, is even important in having money, because it's not the amount, it's what you do with it and how you make it work for you. So to answer your question, we have the $4 rule. $4 rule. And I know you've probably heard of this before. Changed the game in my life. I try to teach it to my boys.
Yep.
Sometimes they listen, sometimes they don't, but I believe it's going to stick the older they get, the more mature they come. $4 rule. The first dollar, you pay your bills. All right. You pay what you owe, period. The second dollar, whether it's $4, $40,000, $400, same thing. The second dollar, okay, you invest. That's investing in a savings account, or you invest in something that's going to make you money, right? The third dollar, you heard Jacinda mention tithe.
Yeah.
We believe in giving back.
Yeah.
Life is not about takers, but it's about givers.
Givers, absolutely.
We're not take, we give, right? And then the fourth dollar is enjoyment.
Have a little fun.
You work for it, which is why I want that Jeep Wrangler or Tesla. You should enjoy the fruits of your labor. So it's the $4 rule. You pay bills, you invest, you give back, and you enjoy.
And a lot of people are just bills and enjoy.
Oh yeah. So no, I hadn't heard the $4 rule. I heard it as a 4-quarter rule because it was told to me by someone who was much older than us.
Nice.
And she was the most financially independent client I ever had.
Until you met her.
She never. Oh, hold on. No, let me tell. No, let me get it out though. Let me get it out though.
Come on, give it to me. Give it to me.
She never had a job that paid a astronomical wage. She was a third grade teacher.
Come on.
That's all she ever did.
Love it.
But her first job was cleaning the corner store that her grandfather owned and operated. She cleaned it as a child and she got paid 4 quarters. And she ran home and said, Daddy, Grandpa gave me 4 quarters. No, he didn't. He gave your bills a quarter. He gave your future a quarter.
Come on.
He gave a quarter to you to give away, and then the last one's for you to enjoy. And she followed that rule for the rest of her life.
Wow.
Okay. By the time I met her, she was in her 80s. She was a millionaire, house paid off, cars paid off, trying to figure out what I'm gonna do with all these quarters. Okay. And she never had children. She gave all of her money to her nephews. She had twin nephews. And they each inherited almost $1 million apiece. And they had no idea Auntie had that kind of money until after she passed away.
Yeah, we're not there yet.
Okay. She was, oh man. So, all right, listen, we could keep going on and on and on. I need to ask you guys for a huge favor.
Come on.
We have to do this again, but I need to have Alicia beside me. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Come
okay, we're gonna do this again. I'm gonna have Alicia beside me. I'm also gonna make sure after hours here, I'm about to get the direct line to the station because we're gonna be calling in and bugging y'all sometime soon. We're gonna have some real fun.
I would love that. We need to have this on the radio too.
Give away some
yes,
financial
let's do it,
man. Because like you said, it's changing the way our generations think. So
absolutely,
we would love for you and your beautiful wife to be able to, share with us, and we share stories and encourage and empower one another.
Absolutely. Yes, indeed. Now, speaking of empowerment, one of the things you mentioned earlier was one in particular nonprofit that the two of you focus on. And I wanted to at least give our listeners a chance to learn about it, and if they wanted to give, how they could give and support. So can you talk a little bit about the Give Blessing bags that you mentioned to me? What is that all about?
Yes, well, we have a 501c3 nonprofit ministry in Charlotte, North Carolina. It's called Stolen Lunches, and it means to steal away and be fed by God. So we have 4 pillars there. We do weekly prayer calls, monthly Bible studies, which you can tune in from anywhere to be a part of it. We have spiritual retreats that we have where we get to steal away for an entire weekend, marriage Bible studies, and also retreats. But our outreach arm is called Give Blessing Bags. And every single month we pack bags for the homeless. And one thing that me and FlyTy thought about is, how many times have you been driving down the street and you see someone in need and you have this awkward stare off of I don't want to stare because I don't have anything. I don't have cash. Should I give them my lunch? And it's when you have a heart to serve, you don't know what to do in these moments. And it makes us feel awkward and uncomfortable. So 1 hour out of the month, we all get together. We pack blessing bags. All the volunteers leave with the bags. Now we're equipped to be the heart, the hands, the feet of God. And when you see someone in need, I go to my passenger seat and I give a blessing bag. And so we would love for you, if you can pour in financially so that we can buy more goods, so we can bless more people, that would be awesome. But also you can pack blessing bags from wherever you are, with coworkers, with your neighbors, whatever. It's really more so about the mission, because the need is so great. There are people in need everywhere. Pack some bags, throw them in your car, and be equipped. And now you're making U-turns going to find people versus that awkward, I'm looking the other way because I don't know what to do right now.
One financial bad decision, we all could have been there, right?
Yeah.
We are all one bad financial decision away from being destitute. Because all it takes is one bad decision. That's it.
And oftentimes we see individuals, and some people may look at them or look down on them, but we believe that they're just like us. And it's only by the grace and the mercy of God that it's not us, but they just want to be seen. And so when you're able to roll down that window and not ignore them and pass them a blessing bag, it's just saying, hey, I see you.
Yeah.
Hey, I see you. And it's
Amen.
okay. And life is going to get better. It's just, and it's a gesture of kindness that we try to extend to those who are in a situation. Just because they may have lost hope don't mean they're hopeless. And they don't always asking for a handout, but it's a hand up. So we encourage you wherever you are, look at things around your house, put it in a bag. And
that's how it started.
That's how it started with us. Put it in a bag, keep it in your car. And now you're empowered when you come up on somebody that may be holding a sign or someone that may ask you for some change. Here, let's give this to you. And not only is it essential items that they may need, snacks, water, if it's cold outside, maybe gloves, toboggan, toothpaste, toothbrush, but it's a simple love note on the inside that's saying you are loved, you are cared for, God bless you. And we believe that, that can change one person's life. One simple act of kindness can change the whole trajectory of someone's life.
Yes. I was just at a TED Talk this weekend, and that was one of the things that was shared, is that simple act of kindness, that empathy to be kind to someone else could change their life and the lives that come from them generationally. One of the best, not to glorify, but I have to share the story, but there was a gentleman that was on the side of the road in Los Angeles. I was waiting at a stoplight to turn left. It was one of those long lights that we all know those lights in every city. There's one of them. You're like, if I don't make this left turn, I'm gonna be here for a few exchanges. And speaking of change, he had a sign. It was the best sign I'd ever seen in my life. And it really made me understand what some of these people are really looking for. His sign read, "We are all looking for change. You're looking for the light to change, and I'm looking for change." And in that moment, it hit me. So I emptied out my entire, how you have your little cup holder full of coins. I was like, just take it all. But at the same time, I realized that his message was so on point, because he was just looking for change. But I think he was using the double meaning, because it wasn't just the change. He was just looking to change his situation, change his life. And I was like, man, here I am frustrated about this light changing. He just wants life to change. I was like, oh. So ever since then, I look at it differently when I see those that are in need. And like, they're looking for change, and any way we can give that change, kindness, whether, like you said, a goodie bag that has some essentials in it, or even financial change. And there's so many ways we can help. So listen, we're going to make sure we put links in the show notes of how you can give, how you can support. Of course, we'll give links to all of their shows so you can go check them out. This has become one of my favorite couples on the planet. Thank you both for taking the time to share some love on the Money Script podcast. And we have to do this again. Oh my goodness. Alicia's going to be so excited when I tell her. And we have to come to Charlotte and hang out. We got to do that.
A Hornets game.
So, a Hornets game.
Bring it to a Hornets game.
On us.
Say less. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Researching tickets to Charlotte now. But again, thank you so much for blessing us with your presence here on the Money Script podcast. There are a lot of good gems in there that we talked about. This is going to be one of those shows you're going to have to play a few times, especially those that are couples. And those that are getting into relationships, because you can start having these business meetings and these money dates now. Don't wait till after you say I do. Have the conversations now. Have the what ifs.
First thing she asked me when we started dating, what's your credit score?
Exactly. Don't be ashamed. Don't be ashamed. Hey, and say your number with pride. If it's a 600, it's a 600. Say it's a 600. I'm working hard.
Listen,
well.
She was blown away, right? When I told her my credit score was an 800, right? I said, my credit score is an 800. She was like, what?
That's sexy all of a sudden.
I said, she was like, ooh, that's kind of sexy. I said, no, you don't understand. One of them is a 3 Experian. The other one is a 2. The other one is a 3.
He added them all together. Yeah.
And
I don't even know how we do another date, because that is not sexy to me.
And she was like, what? I said, yes. Averaging.
You said 800 combined. That's funny. That's
fine. But she got my credit right. And I was in a situation where and I wrap it up with this. I couldn't even put my name on a car. She signed up for a car for me. It was while we was dating, right?
That's why he'd be like, yeah, I'm getting my car. I'm like, that's my car.
That's not.
This woman that signed for me a car. Because there was a point like that. I was like, I'm done. I ain't paying no more of these bills than I owe. And my credit score went,
yeah. That's a
up.
whole other thing. We could talk about that because Dave Ramsey talks about being debt free, but we got to talk about credit because that's the world.
Got to talk about credit.
So
I will boast a little bit right now. My credit score is currently higher than my wife.
Come on,
but when we met,
how we compete?
She had me beat when we met, but now I'm higher than her in like significant. She's like, how did you do this? Like, don't worry about all that. I can teach you.
Come on, sir. She helped you get
she
there.
She did.
She helped me get there. Now watch this. I'm gonna ask you this: who do you think credit score is higher?
At this point?
Yeah, me and her. Right now, we getting ready to see.
I'm going to say. Let's see. You know what? I gotta women rule. I'm gonna say Jacinda, you got him.
All right, I got mine
by at least 5 points. By at least 5 points.
By at least 5 points. Ooh.
For the first time, mine just dropped.
Mine dropped too. Mine dropped a little bit too.
I added him to something and
all right.
He brought you down.
Let's see.
This is unlike me to even be in the 700s. I operate only 800 and above. Ooh. That would be me, baby.
You did it.
Dropped. I'm still in the lead.
She got
me.
There
you go.
20 no, by
100
to 13 points.
Oh, which one? What level are you doing? Oh, you want to go to your highest one?
Yeah,
do the highest one. Absolutely. Use the highest one.
I like 25. I got him by 25.
She got me by 20 points.
Okay. All right.
But hey, it's
better than 200 because it used to be 200 different.
True story. Thank you so much.
Hey, thank you. Remember, everyone, keep the ratings coming on Apple Podcasts. That helps other people to learn about the podcast and know that we're there, shedding this love, this light, this financial literacy to help you all make better financial decisions. So until next time, we love you. Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend to get some financial literacy today. Later.